welcome back to What's Stranger Than Strange. My name is Erin. So I have been waiting on some stories from some of my subscribers. Thus far, I do not believe I've received any, but today is going to be my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing a story with you all. This particular story that I'm going to share is one that is from the 90s when I was a little kid. This story, I want to say, happened when I was in maybe first grade. So, in the story, the setting of it is my aunt's house. At the time, there was quite a few kids, all about the same age, and then teenagers and stuff like that. There was a lot of family. And we were all doing a sleepover at my aunt's house. And I do remember there being a scary story about her home. I heard that her house was haunted. I do remember that being one of the first times that I was I think introduced to a ghost. The first time that I remember actually being afraid of something like that. And the story of the place was that supposedly there was an elderly gentleman who lived in the home. There was a home invasion type thing, and I think the gentleman was trying to come down the stairs because it was a pretty big house. And unfortunate circumstances occurred, which led to them leaving this plane. That's what we'll say, because I can't actually say, and I don't think I can actually say certain words on here. I'm not really sure. So to kind of step around that, we're just going to say that he basically left this physical plane. That's how we'll say it. And listening to the adults that were around, I was kind of like, what? Being nosy, wanting to hear everything that went on. And I started to understand that the home had a lot of unexplained activity that would happen, a lot of things that would scare the adults that lived in the house. I just remember I was already kind of on edge because it was a newer environment that I hadn't been in before. I think it was a newer home for them, for her and her family. And anyway, the story that I'm going to tell, as I said, took place at her home. And we learned that there is a, history of, something happening in the house. And the person that was no longer with us was still apparently very angry about what happened. There was a lot of very violent things that would happen. But this is in the understanding that this is that elderly individual. But now, as I'm an adult, I'm not really too convinced that was fully what it was that they were dealing with. I do believe that, there could be an energy of some sort that is trapped in the home because of the unfortunate circumstances and unfortunate events that happen. It's just that I think a lot of the violent activity, I don't think was the elderly individual. So to get back into the story, this is one of the first days that I remember being there. So I think it was the summertime, or we were on break or something from school. And I remember there was a whole group of us kids. I mean, ranging from, like I said, super young to teens. We're all hanging out, playing video games, playing outside, all that type of stuff. Well, I had this one cousin that always like nitpicked and nitpicked and nitpicked at this one kid. And I remember like it used to make me really upset when I would see the way that this, kid would basically pick on the other one. So I used to always be aware of it, but I always would try to like help the other kid that was small. Cause this kid's bigger than us, like being mean. And long story short, most of the family was gathered like in the foyer of the house at one point. Kind of like foyer, like downstairs. The area where the elderly homeowner was said to have left us, we'll say it that way, was on a staircase that was like way over at the side of the house, like in the front part, like on the right side. So like when you would come in the door, if you looked immediately to the right, there's a staircase that went right along that wall, straight upstairs. And, and then you go on your landing, and then you go back into, like, the rooms and everything. The big kid that was picking on the little one was standing, if you can picture again with the staircase to the right, in front of the wall that was in front of the staircase. Let me actually draw that. This will be a little bit easier, I'm thinking, if I draw it out. Okay, so say like you come like in the front door. This is going to be a terrible drawing. But say like you come in the front door or whatever. Okay, I don't know if this even helps. This is like so terrible because I'm trying to hurry. But say like you just like walked in the door, okay? And I don't know if this is going to flip like mirrored because of the fact that I'm on camera or not. So we'll find out after I'm done. But you walk in, say it's like the door like flies to the side, okay? When you come in this room here, this is all open space. Okay, all this is open space. This area back here, at the back, like left, was the start of another room that was in the house that kind of leads to like the dining room, and then way back in the back's like the kitchen and stuff like that. So, anyway, we're all gathered like all in here. Everybody's all talking, blah, 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 blah. This is us, okay? I'm just drawing a bunch of squigglies. We're all running around playing, whatever. So right over here on this side, okay, big kid is being like real mean, okay, to this little one. Okay. So big kid is being real mean, okay, to this little one. Meanwhile, the rest of the family starts to witness this, okay? Now I am standing on the side over here. I still remember this like plain as day. Okay? So I'm standing on this side, okay? And I'm facing that wall that, is kind of like up the side of the staircase right here. So front door is closed, right? We got all the family down in here. And I remember a bunch of us yelling at this kid to stop being mean to the little one. He proceeds to keep antagonizing. The next events that unfold, I had to literally call and talk to my sister and ask her if she remembered it too, because I was like, I want to make sure that what I'm about to say online is true, because you know how they say like when you're kids, your memory can change, like memory can fail you, stuff like that. Okay, so kids nitpicking, being mean. Next thing I know, we're all yelling, stop. And the adults were right there. Kept doing it. Like nothing that we were saying was helping. And this person was old enough to know better. Probably a teenager already. Like they knew better. We're standing there looking. I literally see this kid go up and slam into the wall. like right into the door. There was nothing that touched him. No human being touched him. We didn't expect anything was going to happen, but it was a pretty forceful just slam right into the front door of the house, like that side of the wall. And immediately everybody starts freaking out because we're like, what in the world just happened? Where did that come from? And then it just like made everybody panic more because like we knew the history of the house. Well, the area that supposedly whatever it was had occurred was on the stairs that was right behind where this kid was standing, causing trouble for the little one. And that was one of the first times something crazy happened at that house. So then after that, I remember being scared to go back. And just because it was so long ago, the next story I think happened a different night when I was staying there. I don't think I wanted to be there, but I stayed there. And I felt more comfortable because they had like a bunch of us kids like all stay like just like in separate rooms because it was a pretty decent house, but like a pretty decent sized house. But the one thing that happened to me that I think has become like besides that has become like the like turning point I think in my belief in the other side happened. I would have still been around the same age when I went back. I remember that me, my sister, and two of our female cousins that were about the same age were staying in one of the bedrooms in the house. And again, it was a whole bunch of us kids over at the house. We were all hanging out, playing, having fun, playing video games, like all that stuff. And when it was time to go to bed, us four girls, me, my sister, and two of our female cousins that were younger, we all went to stay in one of the rooms. Right next door, down the hallway, was my older female cousin's room, and she had one of her friends over. And she was like, I think she was in high school at this point. And we all, if you all hear any snoring, it's my dog. We were all laying down to go to sleep. And I remember we had this big bed. And I just thought it was so cool. We had this big bed. And we were all laying on it, like laying all across. And we had this big blanket that we were all covered up with. We were good. When I go to sleep, I always cover up my head when I go to sleep. Like I've always done that since I was a kid. I don't like having my head out when I'm sleeping. So I remember while I was laying there, I got real warm and went to sleep. Next thing I know, I wake up and it's the middle of the night because you know how it's that like dark, like moonlight, you have like moonlight coming through the window, like that kind of thing. Okay. So I drew another horrible picture because I was trying to do it really fast earlier. But like this is like a drawing of like where we were, right? So like when you come in from the hallway, you come in, here's the door. When you come in directly to the right, there was like gym equipment, like workout equipment. It was just like an extra room. And then if you go straight ahead, just a little bit to the left, there was that big old bed that we were all excited about being able to share and do our, little sleepover. And right above that bed, I didn't really notice it at the time, but I did notice it later. There's this closet. It was like an old closet nobody was really using. They just had the little bed against that thing there. So if you proceed further over to the other side of the room, there's these two really big windows.
And then, you know, just right outside is the driveway. Okay, and it wraps around like the back of the house. So here's the porch at the back. And that'll make sense later. So, anyway, the 4 of us are laying in the bed. This little one out here at the very, very end was me, my little sister, and then 2 of our cousins that were about the same age were laying over here. So I wake up, okay, again, I'm at the edge of the bed, and everybody has stole all the blanket off me, okay? So I was already mad when I woke up, and I was scared because I knew the history of the house, whatever. Well, while I'm laying there, I'm trying to pull the blanket back over me. So, you know, if I'm turning this way, I'm trying to get everybody's attention, like, hey, let go of the blanket, let go of the blanket. And I keep pulling it, and I can't get it. So, of course, my back is to this whole area over here. Y'all. While I'm sitting there trying to pull that blanket, I started hearing this noise, okay, coming from this area over here, okay? I know it's not anything else because I know that I've had people ask me, were you sure you weren't hearing, you know, like somebody playing in the hall or just somebody just being loud in one of the other rooms? No, that is not at all what I heard. I know now in my own adult mind what I was hearing, like reevaluating what it was that I heard and thinking about it because it has haunted me my whole life. This gym equipment over here, it was coming from that general area, okay? Almost like if somebody had picked something up and they dropped it. It sounded like something like using that equipment. It wasn't anything that, you know, you would expect it to be. It was definitely like a metallic noise that sounded like almost like something fell. Like if you were holding on to one of those weights and you dropped it. And then like you were just like hanging out for a minute, then you picked it up again and it just fell. So it's not anything that was like it wasn't like a continuous noise. It was just like, you know, if something fell, but it fell at like weird times. I don't get it. But I know that what I heard was definitely something that was in that exact spot in the corner of the room. And when I turned, because I had to roll back over, and I just remember being so scared, you guys, like, because it was just something that I'd never experienced in my life. So I turned over, and I looked toward that side of the room, because I had to roll all the way back over to my right side to look. And I was like, where is that coming from? And I look, I just see this, like the gym equipment sitting there. There's nothing, there's literally nothing over there. There's nothing there. Nothing's moving, just the gym equipment there. And there was nobody other than my cousin that was in the room above us, right here. There was nobody else who would have had a room right on the other side of us that I know of. Because to my knowledge, I don't think anybody else was like right there. But either way, what I was hearing is not something that people would, it was an abnormal noise. At this point, I'm freaking out. I'm looking at the edge of the bed, like over the edge of the bed. I'm scared for my life. I don't even know, like, I don't know what it is that I'm hearing. I know something's in the corner of the room. I know something's there, but I can't see it. All I can see is the gym equipment. I hear something over there, and all I can see is the gym equipment. There's nothing else there. So I'm steady trying to like wake everybody up next to me. I'm like, you guys wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. I can't get anybody to wake up. And I mean, you know, like when you're just like paralyzed in fear, you're like, I can't get anybody to wake up, but you're trying not to like make it super obvious that whatever it is scaring you. So you're like, oh, like, please wake up, you know, couldn't get anybody. So what happened next is something that I would say is the one moment in my memory that shaped my interest in the paranormal. So I have my back, like I said, to the area that was off to the right of the bed. Okay, so remember, I'm this little one right here. I end up turning this way, trying to bury my face into, the area where everybody else was. I'm balled up in the fetal position, like I said. I've got my head like tucked down, just like burying it into the shoulder of the person next to me because I'm so scared. And still, no one is waking up. So I am laying there trying to block out everything that I'm hearing, trying to just keep it together. And all of a sudden, I get this feeling because my back is to the edge of the bed. I get this feeling that I can only describe as just like a magnetic feeling. That's all I can think of. All I can think of how to explain it. Only word I can find. But all the hairs on the back of my neck start standing up. The hairs on my arms start standing up. And I have this intense feeling that somebody is standing right behind me. And it's so close that it is like invading like my personal space, like that kind of close. And when I tell you like the hair standing up, I'm talking about like standing up, but not because of the cold. Standing up because there's a physical like effect from something that is near me that is like, making itself known that it's there. So then, at this point, like, I'm done. I'm so scared. Like, at this point, I'm so scared, just beside myself. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying hard not to scream. I'm trying to pretend like I'm asleep. So whatever is there will leave me alone. But I am like silently panicking, trying not to cry. I'm already cold. The temperature starts to drop. I start to panic, and I remember doing like this. Like I did one of these numbers where I tried to open my eye, and I'm trying to, because I was so scared. I was fully convinced like somebody was by me. And like I said, the temperature starts to drop. It dropped so much, I can see my breath. I can see my breath in the room. I was panicking and I was trying to hide it. But meanwhile, I'm slowly turning to the side to kind of, and I can see the heat coming out of my mouth. I get brave enough to like roll over because at this point I'm freaking out. I'm about to like slap whoever's behind me. Like I was so scared, and I turn over. I can feel that presence there, but then when I look, there's nothing there. But for some reason, it was like I could tell that whatever was at the side of me went up and it went above the bed. but there was nowhere for it. There was no space for it to go. So like, I'm right here, and I feel it go up like this. I could feel like somebody move away from the bed and go up like this. Mind you, I drew this here like it had a space, but there's no space. At first, I didn't even notice the closet until this happened, or a door right there. And I'm laying there now. Whatever it is, I don't see it, of course, but I don't feel it here anymore. And it's up here. So I am very aware of the fact that I could tell something was there. And meanwhile, I'm slowly like, if you can tell what I'm feeling, my heart's just, and I'm doing one of these numbers, like looking up, and whatever it was, I could sense it above the area that I was laying in. So I'm laying like on the bed. It's not like above my body, but it's like back this way. And then I start to kind of tell that it starts kind of doing like kind of coming up and back like this was kind of what I was taking from it. But there's that door behind me. Behind our heads, you might as well say. I guess it would technically be above your head, but not up here. So it's behind like this. That's when I first noticed the door. And you know how like they say like in movies and stuff, like whenever you hear or like you hear something, how it always has that like that ooh sound. I heard that. I heard that. I heard it. So I have no blanket. I'm scared for my life. I don't know in a child's mind how to rationalize what is even happening. And then this thing is on this side of me. It gets even more cold. Every hair on my body is standing up. Like if my hair could stand straight up on my head in that moment, it would have been. And I'm panicking. So then I start hearing this thing above me going like that. And I was like, oh my goodness. I think in that moment, I think I got so scared that I actually passed out because all I remember was that I heard that and I just remember shaking so much and then nothing. So I think that I was genuinely so scared that I really do think that I passed out. And next thing I know, I wake up in the morning, and everybody's trying to play and whatnot. And I sit up and I'm like, you guys know nobody had anything weird happen to them last night? And we're all little kids, like first grade to like third grade, like that range. And they're like, no. And so I proceeded to tell them what happened, and none of them remembers having anything crazy like that happen the previous night. So I wake up like forever changed, and everybody else had a good night's sleep. And one of the girls that was my cousin, the older girl, actually, maybe it was the younger one now that I think about it. I think it might have actually been the younger one. That was my mistake. The younger one proceeded to tell me a story. Not from the night before, but she said that she had a nightmare one time when she was staying there. That out here, that she was in her dream sitting on this back porch. It was her and her sister. And they heard something coming from the side of the house over here. And because, of course, like the driveway is going to lead out into the street. So in her dream, she gets up to go and look around the corner of the house. And when she looks over, she said, way up this way. She said she saw these, I want to say, two little things walking down the driveway. It looked like two, like, very, very small people or creatures of some type. She said were walking up the driveway. And she said that they had, like, red eyes is all that she remembered. And they kept trying to get closer and closer and closer to her and her sister that were sitting on the back porch. And so in the dream, like, they run back to the porch, and I guess they go in the house, and like nothing happened. But that was, her story. So I know I'm not the only one that had crazy stuff happen in that house. There were also other times where, say like if we were sitting in a certain room, I think one time we were eating and we started hearing stuff like falling or being thrown in the house, and there was nobody else like upstairs or anything like that. So that definitely freaked everybody out too that was at the house. But everybody always attributed those occurrences to the individual that, had unfortunately left this world in the home. It was kind of painted that the individual was very upset about everything that had happened in the home. But it kind of makes me wonder. I do think that their energy could have been, like, the energy of that event could have been, left in the home. And that person's presence, I feel like people's energies can be in a home because you know what I mean? When you go into a home that's been like a place of love, a place of happiness, good memories, and then the difference between that and when you feel like something's off when you go into a home that has had a lot of, heartache and, sadness and terrible events that took place. It feels different. However, that was many, many years ago. But that experience has stuck with me. And I try to think about it to make sure that, like, my memory is not failing me, but I always remember the same details. Like, it always comes back exactly the same. And, I've questioned others that were present when that stuff happened. Except for my story, no one else really experienced that. I was like left alone to fend for myself. But it was not a laughing matter at that time, but it definitely has shaped me. Like, it changed me. It really did. From that age, I became very aware that there's more to this existence than, more than what we see. And I really do think, though, that the home, I think, did have a malevolent spirit in the home. My reasoning behind that is because I just think that if that individual really was a nice person that lived there, like the way that people describe them, I think that they would have remained that way, in their leaving us, but I also understand that there are things that we don't understand that occur after this life. Because unless you've had like a near-death experience or, you know what I mean, and come back, like you hear some people talk about, I really don't think that any of us can really say for certain that we really know like what's going on, like in the case of that home. But I mean, but I just think though, like in the belief system that I have, you know, I don't personally feel that that person would have been stuck there, but I do believe that energies can be left somewhere. I really do think that. But you know, like when people have like residual type hauntings and things like that, and it's just someone just replaying, you know, parts of their life over and over again. I feel like that's just kind of like that energy just stuck there and it just keeps going and going and going. Then I really do question a lot of intelligent type hauntings. I'm not saying that I know for sure because that's where like my interest comes because I don't quite understand. We don't know for sure, you know, what's really going on, but I do really question the intelligent hauntings where stuff is actively engaging with you because I do feel like things that are evil can mimic the living, things that have been like monitoring people that were in those spaces can have knowledge of things that occurred in there and pretend like they're this person or that person. And when people are asking questions, they can give answers because, you know, if you know anything about like monitoring type spirits, that, you know, from what I've learned, that's their job. I mean, I've heard it before that there's entities out there that do things like that. So, anyway, that is one of a few pretty pretty creepy stories that I have. There is one more that I'll tell that is pretty lengthy, but that one has pictures, so that'll be fun. That'll be coming up. I'm thinking, you know, here fairly soon. I do have another one from another home that I was living in, but that one will be kind of brief. Just kind of a quick video. I definitely want to know like if anybody else has had anything happen to them because I am really interested in other people's stories. I hope that this kind of gives you a better idea of how somebody that, you know, you know, believes, you know, the way that I do still kind of has that, you know, interest. And I'm not immediately like, nope, we're not talking about it. You know, sometimes I feel like that gets met with a lot of shutdown by people in the church. You know, I'm not dragging anybody in this. It's just kind of a reaction that I've noticed. Then there are some that are very aware of that type of stuff, and those people end up being, you know, a lot of those that you see that do, you know, like exorcism type stuff and house cleansings and things like that. I definitely think that would be a very interesting type of work. Please like, comment, subscribe. Until we meet again, everybody take care. I hope you enjoyed the story.